Okay guys, if you've made it to this point, you get a little puppy love. Little puppy love, it's Milo Pants. He's a good boy. He was very good during this whole time. He's usually snurfling about and doing all kinds of stuff, but he laid down and was a very good boy. So I'm very pleased with him. And in fact, just for that, buddy, this is heavy. This is heavy material, guys. This is heavy and dense. So I think we need to take a little break, have a little puppy break. Why not? Hey Milo. Hey Milo. What's this? What's this? What's this? Little bit of treats? A little bit of treats for you? Oh yeah, buddy. Good boy. He did so good. Okay, and oh my goodness. So this document is the document that I'm going to be referring to from now on whenever I get into a conflict with anybody about Venezuela. The denial of the impact of the U.S. sanctions can no longer be maintained. I think there's been lots of apologists for U.S. sanctions, and there's been lots of apologists who have been trying to pretend as though the trouble that that Venezuela has been facing has been exclusively in the hands of the Maduro government. But after a document like this, which is an indictment of the United States, Europe, and Canada, Canada's involvement in Venezuela. After a document like that, I mean, what is Maduro supposed to do, right? What is he supposed to do in these sorts of conditions? No leader, it wouldn't matter who was in charge. It wouldn't matter who was the elected leader of the country. That they are facing an absolute disaster that has been completely inflicted upon them, as listed here. I mean, I just read it out loud for you. I'm just realizing now that I haven't put the link in any of these videos. I'm going to put that link in the video. My bad. Okay. From this day forward, anybody who says look at Venezuela as a way to discredit socialism is a hack. If they weren't already a hack. Look at Venezuela is fascist propaganda. As far as I'm concerned, I've made a video about this in the past, but now I have the UN explicitly stating that the US sanctions against Venezuela have been a complete and total disaster. Like, 5 million people leaving the country over the course of 5 years? Like, that's genocidal. That's genocidal levels. That's incredible. That's incredible. And increasing food insecurity, like creating a situation where people can't get access to food, they can't get access to basic necessities that make a civil society, for God's sakes. And so all critiques that get hit to the Maduro government at this point, in my view, are childish, right? Like, yeah, of course, governmental programs will stop if suddenly there are enormous sanctions and you can't actually sell the goods that you have. Yeah, of course these things are going to be a total disaster. Like, of course. It's like a black and white at this point. How could you possibly defend this? How could you possibly sit there? And the most common comment that I get, and what I like about this UN report more than anything, I end up in these conversations with people who used to live in Venezuela and who left, or whose family left forever ago. And they will constantly say to me, oh, I'm from Venezuela and you're not, so I know what I'm talking about and you don't. And then they'll completely deny that these sanctions exist or that they matter at all, right? And so a report like this comes out and it completely puts it to bed, in my view. And but that said, the UN has released these sorts of things before, right? Like the UN released these sorts of reports on the lead up to the war of Iraq. Because if you'll remember, there were sanctions against the Iraqi people, against Iraq, that were placed on Saddam Hussein and his administration. And the UN would release a report exactly like this, where they would be like, these sanctions are causing a humanitarian crisis. And the US's response was, okay, get bent, right? And this leads into the kind of grander point, which is happening on the world stage, which is that the United States is a rogue state. Like, it's like a banana republic with nuclear bombs, right? And there is no capacity to actually rein it in. There is no capacity for the world to actually, like, what are we supposed to do? If the United States looks at this report and goes, get bent, what are we supposed to do, right? They're just going to continue a humanitarian crisis, just like they're doing in Yemen, right? Just like they're doing in Libya, just like they're doing in Iraq, just like they're doing in Afghanistan, right? Like, they don't care. They want the oil. That's what they want. And so this, what they're doing to Venezuela, like, the UN has now listed out what the United States is doing, and it's a siege, right? That's what's happening, is that it's a siege. It's like a medieval siege where they've surrounded Venezuela and they're squeezing it out. They're starving it out, right? Like, they are going to destroy the population. They're going to have people flee from its institutions. They are having people, they are starving people out. They are creating a famine. They are creating a mass genocide in the region so that when they roll their tanks in, the place is so weak that they can't fight back. That's the United States strategy here. And they are going to move forward on it. They are going to, and I mean, if they had a compassionate bone in their body, they don't. But if they did have a compassionate bone in their body, they would lift these sanctions today, right? I mean, what are the point of these sanctions? The argument always was that, like, oh, Maduro is such a bad leader, and we have to put sanctions on him in order to influence regime change in the region. But it's total nonsense, right? Like, the United States doesn't care about the people. The United States doesn't care about the people of Venezuela. It cares about getting oil. That's what it cares about. It cares about the resources, and it doesn't want Venezuela to use the profits from the usage of its resources to help its own citizens, right? If it did, it would have left it alone. Because, like, as the UN is pointing out, hey, the government was providing these services. The government was doing these things. There was a system in place that, sure, there was a dip in oil prices, but the people of Venezuela were going to deal with that. And now you've put in these sanctions, which have only made the problem worse. And so even if, and it's stated directly in the report, even if your argument is, oh, well, we meant to do good, too bad. You're not. You're not doing good, right? And so the Look at Venezuela crowd can go get fucked, right? The Look at Venezuela crowd can go get bent. Go away. We did look at Venezuela. You know what we saw? We saw the United States inflicting sanctions on the region and causing a frigging genocide in the region. Like, holy cow. Holy cow, man. No, nobody can ever come at me with any of this nonsense and any of this bullshit ever again, right? The United States are the Nazis on the world stage, causing humanitarian crises so that they can get resources for themselves. And if that is no longer your position, then you're a stormtrooper, basically, right? You're the one watching Star Wars rooting for Darth Vader, right? You're the one watching Star Wars being like, boy, I hope the stormtroopers kill that Luke Skywalker, right? Like, just an unbelievable position to take. And there are millions of people that have taken it. That Venezuela, the elected leader Maduro in Venezuela is actually a dictator who is starving out his own people on purpose because he's a cruel madman, right? Well, what about these U.S. sanctions? What U.S. sanctions? We don't need to talk about those. Like, wow. All right. This was a big, long endeavor, man. This is a big, long endeavor. I hope one day to get to the point where when I get encountered with those words that I've never seen before, I can just roll through them. I hope you guys, if you've made it to this point, for God's sakes, if you've made it to this point, you've got to subscribe, right? Like, you've got to subscribe if you've made it to this point, if you haven't yet. And be sure to like these videos. Be sure to share these videos. Share these videos more than any other video. These videos are important. Like, a lot of these videos are just me kind of winding around on my own thoughts or my own perception of the world. This is not. This is a major institution releasing a major indictment of another major institution. This is massive history-making stuff. And everybody needs to read this report. A big reason why I read that report out loud is because I think not everyone is going to take the time to read that report. So maybe they will listen. Maybe they will listen. Okay, guys. Oh, geez, Louise. And hey, if you've got a buck, I got a Patreon down there. Maybe hit me up, okay? All right, guys. I love you all. Mwah. Good luck. Mwah. We're gonna need it.